What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. So I'm back on the Hyliion train. All right, I made a video about this a while back, but I want to go a little more in depth. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really tell you what to buy. All right, but I'm going to tell you right now that as somebody who's a truck driver, okay, I've been driving trucks for 20 years. All right. I was over the road for a few years, then I came off the road and did local for a long time, and now I'm back on the road again. Okay, I do 2,500 to 3,000 miles every week all over the country. I stay out for 6 weeks at a time. I'm a real truck driver, all right? And I'm going to tell you right now that Hyliion, ticker symbol HYLN, they are poised to be the first real electric 18-wheeler, all right? There's nobody that's going to be able to get on the road first. There's nobody else that's going to be able to get on the road first. Unless there's some company that I have not seen anything about, Hyliion is definitely going to be the one that's able to get on the road first. And I'm going to tell you why, all right? First, I want you to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button, guys. And let me know in the comments if you like the video and you think that the information that I'm spitting out seems right to you. I know a lot of people in the investing community and a lot of the other guys making YouTube videos about Hyliion and stuff, they know nothing about truck driving, okay? They know nothing about this industry. So I feel like I'm in a unique position to be able to talk about this particular stock because I know about truck driving and I know what trucking companies are looking for. I know what this type of product needs to be able to provide in order to be viable to the market. And, I know how truck drivers think. I know I know a lot about this industry. All right, I've been doing this for a long time. So let's talk about it. So Hyliion is going to make 18-wheelers electric. All right, and there's a lot of other companies that talk about how they're going to make one. Tesla being one of them that really touts their 18-wheeler that they're working on. All right, and I'm going to tell you why Hyliion is going to be first, and they're going to be the first one to have a viable 18-wheeler. All right, so this is going to prove to be a pretty long video, so I hope you'll stick with me to the end. All right, because I got a lot of information to throw out here. All right, I don't really have the ability to just put a bunch of charts on the screen and show you financials, and that's really not a good idea for this company in the first place because they don't really have, they haven't released their product yet. I believe they plan to release it in 2021, the actual electric 18-wheeler. So the fundamental numbers don't look real great, and that's just what it is with the vast majority of EV companies, okay? And we've seen all these EV companies blow up. But Hyliion, has come way back down, and I think it's misunderstood. I think that people don't understand why they have such a huge advantage. They don't understand it. And, a lot of talk in the investing community is given to, investing in companies that you understand. So I want to try to help you guys to understand why Hyliion is the one in this industry. So first, let's talk about Tesla and maybe Nikola a little bit, okay? So let's talk about the other guys first, okay? So Tesla and a lot of these companies, okay, the way that their electric trucks work is that you have to plug them in, okay? I believe Nikola is a hydrogen fuel cell based thing. Where are you going to find some hydrogen? Where are you going to go put some hydrogen in your truck at? You ain't, buddy. You ain't. Ain't no place to put no hydrogen in a truck, guys. It ain't going to happen. The build out would be so massive, you would have to put excuse me, you would have to put hydrogen fueling at so many truck stops before you could even take the first trip with that motherfucker, okay? It ain't going to happen. They're definitely not going to be first. I'm not going to say that they'll never get a product on the market, but how are you going to fuel it up, okay? And it's the same thing with Tesla. And, I love Tesla, all right? I love Tesla, okay? But if Tesla comes out with an 18-wheeler tomorrow that you have to plug in, it'll be useless. There's no place to plug it in. Like, yeah, you have fueling stations around the country for cars. You can't put no 18-wheeler in there and fuel and plug it in. And you got to think that, you know, when you're talking about the difference in a little car and a 18-wheeler that running 80,000 pounds down the road, can you imagine the size of that battery and how long it would take to charge it? You're talking about, you know, 20, 30 minutes on the fastest charger, you know, to charge a car. Imagine how much more battery you've got to charge in an 18-wheeler. Man, the sun is just wrong here. Imagine how much more you got in an 18-wheeler you would have to charge. You'd have to leave that thing on the charger for hours. So basically, you're going to have to charge overnight. Okay, now another thing you need to understand, okay, from the truck driver's perspective, okay, we got to get them 600 miles a day. Ain't none of this 250, 300 mile shit like they're putting, and that's in the cars. The cars do 250, 300, 400 miles, okay? If you put an 18-wheeler out, okay, that you can drive, just give them 400 miles. If you can put one out that you could drive 400 miles in before you have to charge it, which would be a huge battery, and then you're going to have to charge it for, you know, just say minimum 2 or 3 hours to get another 400 miles, nobody is going to buy that. Nobody. Because the truck drivers and the truck driving companies, okay, the rule is, if the wheels ain't turning, we ain't making no money, baby. The wheels got to be turning, okay? And the driver can legally do, you know, give or take, depending on their speed, 600 miles a day. And they want them 600 miles a day. We get paid by the mile. Company, you know, load prices are based on how many miles, and they got certain time frames on them. You can't be doing no 300-400 miles a day. You got to be doing them 600 miles a day. If you can't do that, your product is not viable, okay? And then you got, you know, even more to the point, you got the same problem with these. There's no charging stations. And, you know, something you got to know about truck drivers, all right? And I don't like to just put this out there because I know there's some truck drivers on my channel. Truck drivers are idiots. Truck drivers are idiots, guys, and they tear up everything they touch, all right? I'm looking at these fuel islands right here in front of me at this Love's in Kansas, and they are tore the fuck up. These guys run over them. They run into them. They spit on them. They pull off with the fucking hose in their thing, in their truck. You know, they tear everything up. You come in these truck stops, it's all just, shit's just tore up from truck drivers. And you got to think, you know, it might take me 30, 45 minutes just to sit in line before I can even get fuel because it's so backed up. And it only takes about 15 minutes to get fuel, conventional fuel in one of these trucks. If you got to sit there for 2 hours to charge your battery, how's that going to work? The only way it's going to work is if you put charging stations all around the parking lot, in the parking spaces, so that you can fuel when you stop. And the only way that's feasible is if you can run 600-700 miles on a full charge, and then you could go all the way to the end of the day and charge your truck overnight, and that would work. But that requires you to put charging stations in the parking area. That's a nightmare. That is a nightmare waiting to happen, guys. I mean, I've had my truck run into twice by people backing into parking spots in the last year. I mean, these guys can't back. They can't back their trucks. They tear everything up. They hit other people's trucks. How you going to put charging stations out here? They're just going to tear that shit up so fast, it's going to be a maintenance nightmare, okay? Now, I'm not saying that eventually that won't be the case, okay? Eventually, I bet that we'll have that kind of infrastructure, but it ain't going to be in a year. It ain't going to be in 2 or 3 years, okay? So let's shift gears now, pun intended, and talk about Hyliion, okay? Hyliion, the way their electric truck is going to work is that they're going to have a natural gas generator where the engine would be, and it's going to run on natural gas, which is a clean fuel, Okay, if you get the renewable sourced natural gas, it's basically zero emissions, or in some cases they say it is negative emissions because of the way the natural gas is sourced. Okay, so that when the battery starts to run down, that natural gas generator is going to kick on and charge the battery. So in other words, you don't have to plug it in. Okay, and here's the kicker, guys. Here's what a lot of people don't get. Okay, there are already right now natural gas fueling stations in truck stops all across the country. Okay, they're not at every truck stop, but there are a lot of truck stops that have a big green and white natural gas fueling station off to the side. So the infrastructure is already there. And what that means is that if Hyliion released their truck tomorrow, you could be on the road the next day. Is that true for any of these other companies trying to do electric trucks? It's not, guys. They are the only ones. They are the ones who are going to be on the road first. If Tesla released theirs tomorrow and Hyliion still doesn't release theirs until middle or late next year, Hyliion will still be on the road first, because the infrastructure is already there to fuel the trucks. And you're going to get your 600 miles a day because it can charge itself while it's going down the road. It's a huge, huge advantage. It's a huge advantage, a market dominating advantage. Okay, and people don't get it. And a lot of what's talked about in the investing community is about investing in things you understand. Well, I understand this, okay, and I'm telling you, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a truck driver, and I'm telling you that this is the technology that I have seen that will work. It will work as long as they have the ability to produce the vehicles. Companies will buy it, and that's where we're going to go next. That's what we're going to talk about next. I've talked a lot already about, all these other companies and stuff, and so I think you get the point that the infrastructure for fueling is there. The potential to do the 600 to 700 miles a day is there, and both of those things are probably the most important factors to whether an electric 18-wheeler will be successful. Okay, if you can't do those two things, nobody is gonna buy your product. Okay, so let's talk about that. So I've been in and out of Hyliion. All right, I've been in, made a profit, and got out, and done that a couple of times, and it's been down, and I got back in, and this time I'm going to stick around until it pops really good. This time I only built a half a position, and it jumped today about 7%. I haven't been able to build my full 100 share position. I've got 50 shares at about $16.80 a share. All right. I know that seems like a small position to some people, but my account's relatively small. I haven't been doing this very long. 100 shares is about the biggest position that I make in a company. So it's important to understand truck drivers and trucking companies and how they think and how the business operates. And I think that along with a lot of these other people making videos about Hyliion and stuff, not understanding the trucking industry, they don't really understand the mentality either, or the way that all this stuff works. Okay, so let's talk about it. First of all, I say truck drivers are idiots and stuff like that, and to each their own. Okay, everybody has different opinions on things, but I'm going to tell you right now, when you talk to a bunch of redneck ass truck drivers and you talk about electric vehicles or electrification of trucks and stuff, this is what you're going to hear. Every goddamn electric vehicle that are self-driving, they're going to put us all out of business. We ain't going to have no goddamn jobs. Goddamn robots are taking over everything. That's what you're going to hear. Okay, so you cannot rely on the individual trucker, the owner-operator, to adopt this technology, because they're not going to do it. Okay, these guys go way out of their way when they purchase a truck to try to get an older truck that doesn't require emissions, and to escape all of the technology and escape all of the computers, and they're against the electronic logs that we have to use now, and they're just anti-technology, a lot of them. Okay, a lot of them don't even like to use GPSs. They make specific GPSs for trucks, and these guys don't want to use them. They still using maps and fucking compasses and astrolabes and shit to fucking navigate. All right, so you can't count on these guys to be the ones to adopt it. The ones that are going to adopt it are the big companies, okay? And when you think about big trucking companies, something a lot of people don't understand, and they think, oh, well, it's going to take 10, 15 years for this to roll out. You know, they don't really understand, like, how many miles we really put on these trucks and how often these trucks are being traded in for new trucks, okay? So, I drive a 2021 Kenworth, okay? I got this truck with about 1,000 miles on it, and I've had it for just over a year, and I put 150,000 miles on it. I probably put 130,000 miles on this truck in a year, all right? That's a whole lifetime worth of miles in your personal car, in your four-wheeler, all right? So we're putting tons of miles. I'm doing 2,500 to 3,000 miles a week. Right now, I'm in Kansas waiting on a load, and when I get it, I'm going all the way to New Jersey, 1,600 miles over like 3.5 days, okay? So we put a lot of miles on these trucks. Now, the trucking companies rely on the manufacturer warranty. The manufacturer warranty on a big truck runs out somewhere around 400,000 miles, all right? So that's what the big companies typically do, is that they have an agreement with the people who, with like Kenworth or whatever kind of truck they use, okay? And they get the trucks, they use them for 3 to 4 years until they hit that 400,000 mile mark, and then they turn them in. So that's every 3 to 4 years, these trucks are getting turned over, okay? Last year, in 2020, we got our 2021 trucks because Kenworth's running ahead. And then at the end of this year, they'll be trading in those 2018s and 2019s and stuff that have 400,000 miles, and we'll be getting our 2022s. And that's the way it works. So every 3 to 4 years, you're turning over the trucks, okay? So if Hyliion can release enough trucks, which, you know, I'm not saying that they're going to reach that type of capacity, but if they could release enough trucks, they could saturate the market in 3 or 4 years. I mean, you know, and you know, as to whether these trucking companies are going to buy them, you have to think like a businessman, okay? We use exorbitant amounts of fuel in these trucks, all right? My fuel tanks, between the two of them, they hold about 180 gallons of fuel, all right? And I have to fill my truck about every day and a half. This is a modern truck with good aerodynamics, and it gets good fuel mileage, and I'm lucky if I get 7.5 miles to the gallon. You're getting 30 plus in your car, all right? And I'm getting 7.5, all right? So I'm using tons of fuel. You're talking about $400 to $500 to fill up the fuel and the DEF every other day. So how much do you imagine you're going to save if you don't have that cost? And then plus, that's not even to mention the maintenance. Maintenance is probably the number 2 cost. And, you know, like, yeah, I say they rely on the manufacturer's warranty, but that does not include when you have to do an oil change. It was like $500-600 every time you do an oil change, and then, you know, lifter, you know, top end adjustments and stuff, and you know, all these preventative maintenance stuff that they do, you know, which a lot of which you won't have to do with an electric vehicle. Okay, so they're saving money on that much money on fuel, and they're saving that much money on maintenance, and there doesn't have to be a huge infrastructure build out. And on top of that, these electric trucks basically serve as an APU, or an auxiliary power unit. And because of the emission systems, emission standards, we're not really allowed to idle our trucks in a lot of places. So we have what's called an APU. It's basically a generator that powers everything, so I can use my microwave and TV, and so I can have heat and cooling and stuff while the truck's turned off. And so that's another cost. That's a cost that the company has to pay beyond. It doesn't just come on the truck. They have to pay extra for it. And so that's something that's built into these other trucks, okay? There's just a ton of advantages to electric vehicles in general. I mean, like, just a couple more that I can think of is like, right off the bat, it's like we have what's called a Jake brake or an engine brake. So when we're going down a hill, we kick on the Jake brake, and it causes the exhaust system, okay, to create resistance so that it keeps the truck from just going out of control down hills. It basically is like it's like a brake, okay, but it works with the engine to keep the truck slow, so you're not burning up your brakes. Well, in an electric vehicle, the way they're set up, or at least the way the one from Hyliion is set up, is that they have a Jake brake, but it's different. What it does is it creates resistance and uses that resistance to charge the battery. So you've still got a Jake brake, but instead of using the engine to cause resistance, it's kicking in chargers to charge the battery while you're going down mountains and stuff. Fantastic, guys. And then, I watched a video by this guy, a truck driver, who actually went to Hyliion and talked with them and rode in the vehicles. I know I haven't really talked about their hybrid model because I don't really think that that's going to be very popular. It's going to be cost associated with trying to retrofit trucks and stuff like that, when, like I say, they're only keeping the trucks 3 or 4 years. They're not interested in doing all that retrofitting. But he rode in both of them, okay, and he said it's one of the fastest trucks he's ever been in. And anybody who's familiar with electric vehicles knows that these electric motors are a lot more powerful than combustion engines. Like these Tesla sport models that go 0 to 60 in like 3.4 seconds or something crazy. And the guy driving, when he was riding in this vehicle, he's done all the tests, and he said when he's climbing hills, he's passing these other guys. And that's a big deal for truck drivers. Like when we're going up mountains and stuff, our trucks may slow down to 20, 30 miles an hour. I mean, and he said he's passing these guys, and, the electric stuff is pulling these hills really well, and guys are big on that. Like, these guys will sacrifice major fuel mileage, the owner-operators and stuff. They like them big old cat engines and stuff that get like 4 miles to the gallon because they can pull the shit out of them hills, okay? And they can't stand engines that won't pull hills. And those electric vehicles will pull those hills, man. And so there's just all of these advantages to having these electric vehicles. The reduction in emissions, the lack of all the cantankerous ass emission systems that constantly break down and are super expensive to fix that you won't have to have anymore. There's just a ton of advantages, and Hyliion really is poised to be the first one to market. They're poised to be, hey, we release this day, and the next day you can drive our trucks down the road. And whereas these other guys are going to take years of building out infrastructure to be able to charge the trucks, and it's just like there's no doubt in my mind that Hyliion is going to, at least for the first several years, be the dominant force in electric 18-wheelers. There's no question in my mind, guys, because I do this every day for a living. And, I see what the pitfalls will be when they try to release these fully electric ones that you have to charge, or hydrogen fuel cell technology, or whatever these other things they're trying to do. Just tons of pitfalls, tons of problems with that whole system and the way they're thinking about it, because they don't understand trucking. But Hyliion has it figured out, guys. I'm telling you, they have it figured out. And when they come out with their trucks, and especially once the first fleet buys them and drives them for a year, and they show themselves to be reliable, that's just gonna proliferate really quick. Like within just a couple of years, they're gonna have orders on orders, guys. So do what you want, do your own research, but as a truck driver and not a financial advisor, I'm telling you that Hyliion is the one, guys. Hyliion is the one that's going to dominate this market. Thanks for watching.